In this lesson, we'll take a look at how linear equations come from the slope formula. Specifically, we'll look at how the slope formula can give us the slope-intercept form of an equation. Before we begin, it's important to remember the slope formula is y2 over y1 over x2 minus x1 is equal to m, where m is your slope, and x1 and y1 represent a point, while x2 and y2 represent a different point. So this formula gives us the slope of a line drawn between 2 points. The equation we'll be deriving today will be slope-intercept form of an equation. In order for us to use the slope formula to do this alteration, we'll need to know one of the 2 points. So we're going to call point x1, y1 the point 1, 2. And we're going to say that the slope, m, is now 5. We now know that we have a line with a slope of 5 that goes through the point 1, 2. Our goal now is to get y by itself. In order to do this, we must get rid of the denominator. So multiply both sides of the equation by the quantity of x minus 1. On the left side of the equation, we have the quantity x minus 1 on top and on bottom. These will cancel. Now we have y minus 2 is equal to 5 times the quantity x minus 1. Let's take a moment to simplify the right side of the equation. To do this, let's distribute to the 5. Remember, this means we multiply the x by the 5 and the negative 1 by the 5 as well. The result is y minus 2 equals 5x minus 5. We're almost done. All that's left is to move the negative 2. Remember, in order to move a number, we must use its opposite. Since we have a negative 2, we need to add 2 to both sides. The result is y equals 5x minus 3. Our equation has now been changed from slope equation into slope-intercept form. Although we will not do this derivation every time we want to use an equation in slope-intercept form, it's good to know where it came from. Next, we'll look at how we use this form of an equation. There are many ways to write the equation of a line. Slope-intercept form is just one of them. The general form is shown here. Y equals mx plus b. The information we get from this form is in the name slope-intercept. So the equation tells us about the slope and the y-intercept of a line. The x and y represent x and y values of a point. The only real challenge here is to recognize where the slope and y-intercept are in this equation. The letter m is always the slope. This is always the number multiplied by x. The letter b is always the y-intercept. When we are in slope-intercept form, the y-intercept is always the constant, or the number that's by itself. While we're familiar with the concept of slope, some of you may be asking yourselves, what is a y-intercept? If we were to graph this line, the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. We will look more at this concept in the next lesson. For now, it's good enough to be able to recognize where the y value of the y-intercept is in this form. Now let's look at an example that we did in the previous slide. Given the equation y equals 5x minus 3, determine the value of the slope and the y-intercept. As we just discussed, the slope of a number is in front of the x. In this example, the slope is 5. All that's left is to find the y-intercept, which is the constant. So the y value of the y-intercept is negative 3. In the next lesson, we'll discuss how to graph a line given an equation in slope-intercept form.